in North Carolina, and the Gillette Soccer Complex, field number 1. It's the 2015 Girls U.S. Youth Soccer National League Series here on the Turbo Sports Network. Hello, everyone. I'm Marky Bilson. Well, New York and Chicago, it's been a great rivalry for so many years in America's history, the largest and second largest cities in America. And in sports, well, great rivalries there as well, dating back more than 100 years. Think Merkel's Boner game, or between the Cubs and the baseball giants, or many years later in 1963, how about the New York Giants and the Monsters of the Midway playing for the NFL championship? There's not that much on the line today, but we do have two teams from New York and Chicago. Yes, HBC Impact 00 from, well, Long Island, New York, Huntington to be exact. And then from Chicago, it's FC United Select 100/2001. That's the action that we have here today for our final broadcast of the day here on the Turbo Sports Network. Now, both these teams are 500. For Chicago, they are 1-1. They defeated Beach from Southern California 4-3, and then lost to New Jersey yesterday 3-1. For New York, well, they've done it the hard way, tying Oklahoma 1-1, and then the Dallas Kicks 4-4. Boy, those are some major metropolitan areas all the way around, aren't there? Anyhow, we are set to kick it off. It is in black, as we see here. The teams, as I am looking at here at the bearings here, now in black is the team from Chicago, and everybody's covered up here, so it makes it a little bit difficult to tell, but in black is the team from Chicago, and the team from New York is in white and green. The New Yorkers, who are coached by Billy Carroll, will implement a 4-3-3 base. Meanwhile, the formation that Chicago, under the guidance of Roy Wigemanson, will employ is a 4-2-3-1. That's right, a 4-2-3-1. And just maybe to set up that New York-Chicago feel one more time, who are the starting goalkeepers? Well, it's going to be Catherine J. Ross in net for Chicago. But for New York, it will be Morgan Novikov. And, well, yeah, if you're a sports historian or just a really huge baseball fan like myself, Novikov. Against Chicago, I may be the only person watching who knows this, but does anybody know of or remember the Mad Russian Lou Novikov, the former Cubs outfielder? We are now underway. And here for New York, you saw recently number 6 with the ball. That is Lauren Mastandre. And the goal goes in. An early goal for New York. And I must admit that I was looking down at my notes here. I generally allow the game to sort of play out before trying to do the identification. I am usually given the rosters and who is playing and try to give them. And they're always alphabetical, too, where you have a circumstance here in this 15 and under game where I have... Now, the goal was scored by Julia Hannon. Julia Hannon with the goal, and no one is correcting me. So congratulations to Julia Hannon, her second goal of the tournament, and very early on, before I can even set my timer for keeping track of the time in this game, New York has a 1-0 lead. By the way, we'd like to thank Kimberly Houlihan, who has been very helpful here for me to identify many of the players. And it was Lauren Mastandria, who was the sort of point man there, taking the ball into the Chicago zone, but it was Julia Hannon getting the goal. She wears number 14 and was born on the very first day of the millennium. So how's that for a leader? Julia Hannon, born New Year's Day 2001. I think South Carolina beat Ohio State in the Outback Bowl on that day. Ball goes out of bounds. Here we have a corner kick. 40-minute halves here, of course. This is a 15 and under game. And it is New York with possession. They are from Long Island. And that was Mastandria, a very tall lady right there. A very tall midfield for New York. Well, almost clicking their heels like, and here I do the New York Chicago. Another, right there we saw Lindsay Wright jump and kick, and she almost kicked her heels almost like Ron Santo. As we continue with the New York-Chicago theme here. Of course, in that case, it's the New Yorker doing the Chicago event. Perhaps we'll discuss after this corner kick differences in hot dogs or such. Ball goes wide of the net on the corner kick. And so, kicking it away will be Catherine J. Ross. Now, Francesca Faraki figures to come on in the second half for Chicago. An early goal scored by Julia Hannon. Her second of the tournament. And New York with an early 1-0 lead. Ball goes into midfield here. Chicago wearing almost White Sox-esque uniforms, predominantly black with white trim, and it's a white uniform with green trim for the girls from New York. How's that for a Paul Harvey dramatic pause? Crossing it to no one in particular but the other team for New York right there with their left foot was Nicole Scudero. This is Scudero. And now a chase. New York dominating possession time in the very early stages of the game. Attempted a header and attempted a kick, but it goes over the net. That shot taken by Isabella Glennon, one of the three strikers, along with Gina Giovinco and Lindsay Wright. That is Scudero. Number 8, the ball goes out of bounds. So 1-0 New York in the very early going. Now, this game, the lights are on, and the sun is shining here in Wilson, North Carolina. But by the end of the game, it may not. Our sunset is scheduled at 4:57. This game would figure to end somewhere around 5:30 or so Eastern if you're watching from Chicago or wherever else. Throwing the ball in here.
Push up! Push up! Stay there! Get ahead of you with her!
New York throws the ball in. That's Isabella Glennon to be specific. One of three strikers. Chicago playing, like I said, a 4-2-3-1. And so it's a defensive heavy set, but also one in that idea where the midfielder is very versatile as that ball is taken by the goalkeeper, J. Ross.
Keep going, Lindsay. I don't have numbers yet. Keep going, Lindsay. Do the
She'll kick it off.
Lindsay, keep going, Lindsay.
This one taken by Chicago's number 14,
Yes, Lindsay.
and that is Johanna Bozic. Bozic, born the day before Halloween in 2000. For the New Yorkers, Barnett, Talani Barnett, is number 10. New York, a very tall team.
Deliver, Jules. Ryan, deliver, Ryan.
And the ball, that is taken by the goalkeeper, J. Ross. In the early going here, the ball
Yes, right.
in Chicago's zone, and it's 1-0 New York here in the early going. The weather figures to get a bit cooler. We'll see how that might affect the players a bit. We were in the mid-50s for much of the day, and that is officially what the temperature is now, but I'm feeling a bit more of a chill than I did before in earlier games. We'll have a substitution for Chicago very shortly. This kick goes wide of the net. J. Ross takes it. There have been winds today here in Wilson, North Carolina, which is about 47 miles away from Raleigh. We'll be in the vicinity of Raleigh, North Carolina, and the Triad.
Losing everything.
13-mile-an-hour winds.
Second ball, T. Second ball.
And the ball goes out of bounds. Here's our substitution for Chicago. Sophie Michael comes in. Now coming out I see two players. Julia Hamill is one of them. Samantha Holton, and I must apologize, I did not catch the other player that came in. But again, Scudero throws the ball in. New York with the lead and the possession. Nice footwork there by Barnett, Talani Barnett. None of the players in this game have made college commitments, I am told, as this ball goes out of bounds. And so Scudero will throw it in once more. This is Talani Barnett. Barnett, though, loses possession to Chicago. That's Bozic, Johanna Bozic.
Yes, Ryan. Yes, Ryan. Come on, G. Yes, Gina.
And this ball goes out of bounds. Now coming into the game, Carolyn Trunkenbrod for Chicago. Trunkenbrod coming in. It's a deeper team for Chicago. Coming out of the game is Lily Conley. Now the Chicagoans are without Sophia Dorr, who is injured, and also Samantha Cramen not in the lineup. The New Yorkers are without 4 players today. Catherine Bakicho, and I hope I am pronouncing that name correctly. Bacuccio, I believe it might be. Bacuccio. Daniela Cornella. I love that name. Summer Nolan and Logan Ward are not here today. Scudero will throw it in again.
Push up. Push up. Come on, Kayla. Work
The New Yorkers with a 1-0 lead. But no opportunity there as some fine defensive play by Emily Christman. And there you see sometimes the emphasis on the midfield where a player there can be very versatile or is required to be very versatile in a 4-2-3-1.
Get head right, get head right, get head right. Get head right. Yes, Ryan, press it. Lindsay, work all the way across. G, stay, G. G, stay, Gina. Gina, stay. Yeah, find the speaker. Let's go.
Ball goes out of bounds. This throw-in for New York from the opposite side of the field, the far end. Now, I've joked through much of the action here from Field 1. You probably see the setting, which is a pleasant one. The field is topping. Then on the other side of the field, it goes downhill, the side you can't hear. Well, first let's talk a little bit about the action here. As taking the ball for Chicago up to the other end is Stadler. Stadler, and a shot is taken, but it goes over, or I should say across the net, and so Novikov has no play. It is beyond her and not a shot on goal. 1-0 New York leads it, and they'll kick here from their side of the field. As I was saying, it's a somewhat scenic view. Well, the leaves have fallen off the trees here, except for the few pines that Carolina is famous for. Behind us, we have the other soccer fields here at the Gillette Complex. We're roughly 15 minutes into the game, 1-0 New York. A very early goal scored by Julia Hannon, and the ball goes out of bounds. There have been recruiters here from many colleges. Earlier today, we saw some from Iowa, we saw some from Arkansas, Kansas. We are looking here, try to find other potential college coaches, looking at some of the action here. But first, let's look at the corner kick. And this one is knocked away. The kick was taken by the goal scorer, Hannon. And we'll have another corner kick. You may hear Billy Carroll saying that he wants his players to line up close to the net. And again, it will be Hannon who will take, well, the corner kick. The ball will go out of bounds, however, and Chicago will have possession. It'll be Glennon who tracked it down, but the kick, of course, will be taken by the keeper. And this is J. Ross. Catherine J. Ross, let's see her leg. Again, she is kicking into a light wind as the sun begins to set in the late afternoon. And perhaps for the first time in this, and I know this may not mean that much to others, that I don't know if everyone can see this, but for the first time, we can actually somewhat read the clock.
Kaylee. Yes, Kaylee. Molly, Kay. Yes, Kay.
Before, the games have been played in the brightness of the morning and the early afternoon. Now we have a late afternoon game, and one can see the clock now. before, and we had to try to keep time on the field. Frankly, the clock was not visible in the sunlight. I mentioned before, New York and Chicago, the great rivalry and how historically the professional teams had met each other and, great games and so on. And a throw in. And I mentioned the 63 NFL championship game. By that time, I think the football was club. And there's a collision here, and we are going to have a goal as a very spirited play by number 17, Lindsay Wright, who was able to knock the ball away from J. Ross and then score and give New York a 2-0 advantage. Or 2-0 if you prefer. So Lindsay Wright joins Julia Hannon on the scorer's table. And New York, their 4-3-3 has already resulted before this game in 5 goals in this tournament. Now they have 2 already. Coming into the game for Chicago now is Annika DiStefano, whereas checking out is Emily Chrisman. Trying to cover up, and that one almost got past Novikov. She's the goalie for New York. 3 New Yorkers in coverage of number 15, Michaela Stadler. Stadler, one of the better players on Chicago. She wears 15. She has one of the goals that the players from the city of the Broad Shoulders have scored in this tournament, but it's 2-0 this time for the natives of Nassau County. I think Huntington is in Nassau County, aren't they? And Chicago is in Cook County, isn't that correct? Pittsburgh is in Allegheny County, and I have no idea what county Los Angeles is in. You'll see the ball rolling down the hill, and well, this is North Carolina, folks. What do you think of when you think of North Carolina? Well, you think of hills and you think of woods. So here, very appropriately, the ball falls down the hill and into the woods. And it is retrieved here. I believe this is Hannon who will be throwing it in. I can't make out the number, but she had done it previously. Also, Scudero had thrown in a few balls. It actually is not Hannon, and I believe that would be Scudero. Now Hannon is going to attempt, I believe this will be a corner kick. But it is not much of an attempt in terms of trying to head the ball into the center or so. Here is a goal, and a long goal scored from about 25 yards out. That one by Hannon. 3-0 New York. They are all over Chicago. Hannon's second goal of the game. Scored her first one from close in. Now more substitutions for Chicago. Coming in, Abigail Osterland, as well as number 28. And I'm looking for that on my roster. And I hope it is on here. And it is not. Here we are. Thank you. I have the official score, number 28 coming in for Chicago. And let us see who that player may be. Forgive me, I'll let this is actually, it appears to be Anissa Norse. I'm going to go with that, Anissa Norse. So we have Anissa Norse, number 28, coming in. And I do apologize, but let's see here. I'm trying to find out who left the game, and that was a bit You're asking for a bit too much now from me here. But Anison Norse coming in. And I will try to get clarification because I had to read handwriting also of that as Scudero gets the ball with a 3-0 advantage. And this is Barnett. Barnett, nice footwork. Looks like quite a prospect. Here is quite a prospect. Hannon with 2 goals. The shot over the head of the goal. As I look at the scoreboard, and I can't tell you, this is the 8th game that I've done. It's the first time that we've been able to read the scoreboard. So we're approaching the 15-minute mark left in the game. There may be extra time added with the goals. The ball almost went out of bounds, but it was saved in, and Barnett knocks it out of bounds to prevent some momentum from being scored, or from being obtained by Chicago. It is Stadler who took that up. Kind of wonder, Stadler now, almost a check like it's the Blackhawks and the Rangers. Brittany Munson, or shall I say, since it's Long Island, and I know they now play in Brooklyn, but maybe not for long, the Islanders. This corner kick will be taken here by Hannah Lapierre. A header and another attempt, but kicked away. The final attempt there to get the ball in the net was taken by Kiara Kerr, who has scored 2 goals so far in this tournament for Chicago. It's the 15 and under. But the college recruiters here, and at halftime I'll try to run them down what the coaches that are watching the game are, and they've got to be impressed with the appearance in all facets of Long Island's HBC Impact 2000, or 00 as the case may be. We'll have a substitution here for New York. Jade Fixon Uwu, which may be one of the more exotic names we've heard. She'll be checking in. So Jade Fixon Uwu. I will enjoy saying that. But she'll check in here as the play goes to the middle of the field. 13 minutes remain unofficially in the half. And Novikov will punt it away.
Jules, central, Jules. In behind us, Jules. Central, Jules. Come on, Jules. Yes, Jules.
Kerr wears number 17 for Chicago. Chasing the ball away, and a physical play right there from New York.
Gina, well done, Gina.
But chasing the ball there was Lauren DeFata. So coming in is Fixin Uwu. And coming out for New York for the rest of the half will be Lindsay Wright. Wright, who scored the second goal of the game. It's 3-0 New York. They are officially the visiting team. But they're both visiting here. Scudero gets the ball in the left corner. Centering in front of the net, but it's knocked away by Chicago. Now trying to reset. This is Mastandria. Mastandria wearing number 6, who scored a couple of goals despite not being a striker in this tournament. 2 goals in the tournament, I should say.
Open him up and get him in, Kay.
That's Barnett. Throwing the ball in here will be Ryan Conway, and Conway earlier in the tournament also scored a tally. And we're going to have another substitution here for New York.
Yes, Brittany! Come on, Nicole. Come on, Nicole. Yes, Gina. For it.
Ball over on the far side of the field. But we can tell you that Isabella Glennon wears number 20, and the ball goes out of bounds for New York. And so we'll have a corner kick, and I believe it'll be Ryan Conway taking this one. We're in the final 10 minutes of the first half, 3-0 New York. The very polite new player will be Sarah Quigley, who refused to stand in front of me while she went to set the midfield, and so she comes in. You made sure she stepped in behind me. Coming out of the game is Giovinco, who wanted the ball more in the first half before she was taken out. Said that. And Giovinco may have the longest hair, at least worn. Now, you know, some of the players may wear it up a little bit, tied up, but she may have the longest hair of any of the players on the teams participating today. And again, there's that North Carolina thing. Well, we're near Raleigh, so if you might be thinking, oh, what is the setting of this game? What the people looking like, you know, and thinking, oh, boy, the Tar Heels and Clemson Tigers are playing for the ACC title here tonight. But in this part of North Carolina, you don't see a lot of North Carolina Tar Heel stuff because we're in the Raleigh vicinity where NC State is popular. Ball goes into the New York end. It hasn't been there that much in this period. Less than 8 minutes remaining. Officially, we may have some extra time, but there haven't been that many stoppages. There have been 3 goals, so sometimes in celebration they will add extra time after a goal is scored. Throw in for Chicago. This is Scudero. Scudero, and New York may have something going here. Hannon has 2 goals, trying to get an angle or someone to pass it to. She finds it to Scudero, who has an open shot. It hits the top crossbar. So the ladies from the Big Apple will throw it in here. This will appear to be a corner kick taken by the player who shot the ball originally. It just missed, Julia Hannon. And it looks like we'll have a couple more substitutions in the final minutes. This ball goes out of bounds. It's the side of the net, and so it will be J. Ross, who is probably only going to play the first half. That was the idea. She will be kicking the ball deep, but right now Chicago just needs possession in the New York end. They've received minimal amount of possession time. Collision there.
Lauren, you gotta help me, Lauren. Lauren, you gotta help me, Lauren. Lauren, you gotta help me, Lauren. Come on, Kay.
Now here we see coming out of the net was Novikov due to a strong, Kiera Kerr, let me say that right. Kiera Kerr made a strong effort there, and Kerr has 2 goals. And earlier, here we see oftentimes it'll be the goalkeeper who will kick the ball away in this situation, but instead Barnett takes the kick for New York, and they'll have possession here. We'll have a substitution very shortly. Coming into the game right now will be Francesca Lilly, as well as Nina Carlomusto coming out of the game. 2 players. Isabella Glennon and Ryan Conway. We're in the final 5 minutes of the first half. Nice footwork there by Sarah Quigley of New York. Can Chicago match the dribbling effort? Trying to get it ahead to Kerr, who has shown skills. It's just that her team has not possessed the ball much. 3-0 New York leads it. Scoreboard reads right now 36-30. And I know, and I cannot see it from our vantage point, that on the computer screen you see a clock right now. Sadly, I don't have that angle or that view, so I am trying to figure out exactly, okay, what is the circumstance here of this 3-0 New York lead. J. Ross kicking deep. And we have less than 3 to play in the first half. Trying to get the ball deep. That was Quigley, number 19, but now an opportunity maybe for Chicago. A lot of up and down. They're trying to go up and down. I have and now this kick just over the net. That was Mastandria. Laura Mastandria. And it went just over the net. Otherwise, New York would have had a commanding 4-0 lead. Not that 3-0 isn't quite so commanding. It should be said that these 2 teams have played high-scoring games. In fact, Chicago scored 4 goals against Beach, California in this tournament, and New York allowed 4 goals to the Dallas Kicks. Here, Novikov covers up the ball. Kick back. And the ball will go out of bounds. They're trying to get it to 17 Kerr. Just over a minute remaining. Trying to center. Opportunity here for Chicago. Shot taken. Blocked by Novikov. Shot was taken by Michael. And the ball is cleared away. It was Sophie Michael with the shot on goal. And I believe Chicago their second of the game. Closing moments of the first half. 3-0 New York. They'll throw it in. And the ball goes down the hill. That might do it for the first half. It's potential. I'd be a little bit surprised. They may actually put extra time on or injury time in a case like this. But we are in the closing moments of the half. It's past 40 minutes on the scoreboard now. So with 3 goals, there was some extra time added. Thankfully, no serious injuries, although there have been some collisions. J. Ross, perhaps for the final time today, kicking off. She's slated to be replaced in the second half, not because of performance, but by design. A long shot, and right there taken what was attempted by New York. Quigley was trying to get the ball to Fixin Uwu, but the ball sailed a little bit. No wind factor right now, so that had nothing to do there. I feel perhaps, and I'm not in a press box, I'm actually standing like a football sideline reporter by the coaches. You may be able to hear them coach their teams. Chicago deep in their own end. And, well, I said that maybe there would be the last kickoff. I'd bet that this would be the last kick from J. Ross here. And the ball sails out of bounds. It'll be positioned. They've added 2 minutes, they say, so there's a minute remaining. 2 minutes of extra time due to substitutions, they say, yes. So with that in mind, throwing the ball in. And that will do it for the first half. It was a great first half for New York. They dominated possession time. 2 goals, one very early and sandwiched, but 2 goals for Julia Hannon, sandwiched around another one from Lindsay Wright, and it is 3-0 New York here on the Turbo Sports Network. Oh. Welcome back to Wilson, North Carolina, here in the 2015 Girls U.S. Youth Soccer National League Series on the Turbo Sports Network. I'm Marky Bilson, giving you the action of a 3-0 advantage for the Long Island-based HBC Impact 2000 team, the Region 1 champions, who are all over the Chicago-based FC United Select 100/01 team. This is a girls 15 and under game, and so we are delighted to be able to bring it to you here today. We'll, of course, be changing sides, so whereas New York before was going from right to left, they will be going now from left to right. They're wearing the green and white uniforms, predominantly white, but green trim and shorts. It's the predominantly black jerseys with white trim that Chicago is wearing. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast about the tremendous rivalry that the two cities have had, and just so many things, over the years. But sports, yeah, a lot. The 69 pennant race with the Mets and Cubs, for instance, or so. And I'm trying to think of things I can't recall, primarily because I guess they haven't won a lot of Stanley Cups, all things considered, but I can't think of too many between the Rangers and the Blackhawks, back from the original 6 days, that sort of thing. And I don't believe the Knicks and Bulls ever competed. But during that era, I mean, there were the Knicks making the NBA Finals when Michael Jordan was playing minor league baseball for a while. Two goals so far today.
Push up, Lily. Push up, Lily. Push up, Kayla.
For Julia Hannon, Lindsay Wright, the other one, she wears 17. Hannon wears 14. So 3-0 is the score. This is Barnett, and Talani Barnett wearing number 10, perhaps the strongest leg on New York. There has been a goalie change coming into the game here for Chicago, and this is by design, not because of performance. It was Francesca Ferrasi, but she allows a tally here. And that goal was scored, I believe, by Lauren Massandria. Lauren Massandria with the goal. Number 6.
Ooh, he had 27.
27, forgive me here. So number 27 with the goal.
37. Maybe he meant 37. I'm going to have to confirm with
Francesca, I got here. Francesca Lilly, I believe, would have the goal. Francesca Lilly, and I do apologize for not being right on there. I actually was checking my roster here to give you the new goalie, and then Lilly just slips it past. That's her first goal of the tournament. 17, or is it Lindsay Wright?
You were right.
Okay. Well, now they said I was right, and I do apologize. Our broadcaster, it's right there. Lindsay Wright, her second goal. Okay, so Lindsay Wright with her second goal. Okay, so my initially was correct here, and I'm glad we got that because I'm working with the scorekeeper here. I do apologize. It may seem a little bit informal here. It is. You have to admit that. We try to keep good broadcasts. You don't want to be, it's New York and Chicago. You got to be a professional about this. New York retreating a little bit, but 4-0. So in the early going, it was Julia Hannon, who scored an early goal, and here Lindsay Wright scores an early goal. Now, Lindsay Wright also, it should be mentioned, was pulled from the game, not just a substitution. There are many talented players on these two teams, but Billy Carroll took out Lindsay Wright. Could that have been a key to scoring the goal? She's that much more rested when she tallies her second goal of the game. So 2 for Hannon, 2 for Wright, 4-0 New York over Chicago. The player to watch for Chicago would be number 17, Kerr. Earlier in the game, she had a couple of opportunities and has shown some effort. She's also scored earlier in this tournament. Now, let's also keep in mind that these two teams have played high-scoring games. So, in the case of Chicago, they have scored 4 goals in a game. That was against Beach of Southern California. And also, New York has allowed 4 goals in an up-and-down game, the Dallas Kicks, their last game. New York 0-2 coming into this game in this tournament. And they may, if it stays the same, they may walk away from 3 days undefeated. And now, here we have, and this may be a breakaway for Hannon. Only one person to beat, but good defense there by Chicago's number 5, Lauren DeFada, to keep the outstanding scorer at bay and really to get possession back. Chicago with a chance there, but it is knocked away by Barnett. Advancing the ball forward was Lily Conley. Now throwing the ball in here was Osterland, Abigail Osterland. Whistle blows and it looks like a player will have her shoes come off. Are we having a substitution? Or no, we're having a player come in from a long way. I'm looking at coming into the picture here, Emily Chrisman, who wears number 3. And I think it'll be Chrisman will actually be taking the kick. That's why. So we'll have a corner kick and an attempt for Chicago to get back into the game. Try to score on Novikov. And there is a shot that goes just wide from Conley. Just wide to the left. So we'll have another corner kick attempt and another attempt here by Chrisman. And it's Chrisman without a T to try to get an assist. But instead, Novikov leaps into the air and makes the grab. About a fifth of the way through the second half. 4-0 is the score. The lights becoming a factor for the first time in a collision. We've got 2 players down. It'll be New York with the ball. Chrisman, one of the players for Chicago. And now it appears the New York player is hurt a little bit more than just the typical bump and bruise. This appears to be Ryan Conway, who was on all fours and Looks like the pain is wearing off. I don't know if we'll have a substitution here. We may see right now, and we are going to have a substitution. Playing it safe, if you will. Sarah Quigley will come in. Or no, they're not going to use her right now. There was the idea that they would, but instead they have decided against it.
Let me know if Ryan can go. I'd rather just sit off of it.
And right now, and this may be an opportunity for Chicago to get back into the game, because instead of subbing and losing Conway's performance, they will actually just play without her until she can return to the game instead of losing her performances for the rest of the day. There are several recruiters here. Saw one from Cincinnati. It appears right now that, of all things, Conway is talking to a lady from the University of Delaware. But earlier we also saw recruiters from, and this is very New York, Syracuse and Connecticut. I know Syracuse is now in the ACC. Yeah, Syracuse playing Georgetown in basketball, and for them not to be conference rivals, I mean, you can't think but of the old Big East.
Hey, Jules, I need legs into the back, Jules. Kaylee, we got a couple cross, Kay. Come on, Gina, give me defense. Come on, Gina, give me defense. Run away, Lily. Jules, put him in big, Jules. Put him in big. Put him in big. Put Izzy in big. Come on, put Izzy in big. Good, get over here. Get over here. Step right there, step right there.
And we will see a return now of Conway very shortly. Kick, a long one, and almost an opportunity there for New York to take a 5-0 advantage as Glennon with a long crossing kick. But so New York had possession even though they were a man down, or a player down as the gender correct term may be. Cannon is wearing an LIU Post shirt. Is that the former CW Post? Now Chicago with possession. Giovinco is now with possession of the ball, but the ball goes out of bounds. We'll have a substitution for Chicago. Johanna Bozic will be coming in. Coming out is Sophie Michael. Throw in, and New York has dominated a lot of the possession time today. That's why they lead at 4-0, and they have it in the Chicago end again. Hannon centering it, but the ball goes over the net. And so we have at the 54-minute mark of the game, a bit of a break in the action. Kick deep into the New York territory. With possession, this is Chicago. Conley will be throwing the ball in. And this is Kerr. Kerr trying to get a shot off, but there's too much traffic and the shot goes wide. This will be Barnett to kick it. Normally in these circumstances, often the goalkeeper would kick, but the feeling here is that Barnett has the stronger leg. Some nice footwork here by Chicago's number 15, Michaela Stadler, Stadler, who has scored a goal in this tournament, but right now it's 4-0 in favor of the New Yorkers. Pardon me if that's coming out. We see Chicago with extended possession. Officially known as FC United Select 1. (2000 and 2001). The ball has gone down the hill and it will be retrieved by the New Yorkers. Scudero will be throwing it in. I'd like to apologize here. This is the 8th half that I've been trying to call, and so ball goes out of bounds again as we're approaching the halfway point of the second half, the three-quarter mark of the game. And Chicago, time running out for them, down by a quartet of goals. Here we see Wright, wearing number 17, getting possession for New York, but it's kicked out again. This is Kerr. For Chicago, Holton, number 9. So they're advancing it deeper into New York territory. Conley, though, being heavily guarded here by the once injured number 11 Conway. So Conway and Conley, 2 and 11, 2 for Chicago. This is Wright. Wright, though, is ball knocked away there by Craddock. But now we have a collision. So it'll be Barnett to kick it off. It's taken once again. This is Conley. Conley kicks it deep, but nowhere really to throw it to, or no one to give it to. And we'll have a substitution now at our next break. Coming into the game will be Keegan, Daniela Keegan, as well as Sarah Quigley. Thought earlier she might come in. Now here we have on the side, this is Giovinco. Giovinco, the ball in front of the net, but no New York player there to bury their 5th goal. Barnett advancing it forward. We are barring extra time. Halfway through the second period. This kick goes into the net. Lauren Mastandria with the well-placed kick. And so we'll have the substitution now. A 5-0 New York lead. And it gives the formerly injured Ryan Conway a break. And Isabel Glennon also comes off. 5-0 now. New York with the lead. Well, to be honest, there wasn't much that indicated that this would be this sort of a game. Both teams came into the game 500. New York had had 2 ties. But it appears they'll leave the day undefeated at 1-0-2. This was 3-0 at halftime. Now for Mastandria, that is her 3rd goal of the tournament. And that ties her with Hannon, whose 2 goals today gave her 3 on the game for the team lead. Both Hannon and Mastandria with 3 goals in this tournament. This is the National League U.S. Youth Soccer 2015 tournament. And now the lights are quite important here. The sun has set, although it is not completely down, and we're going to see another substitution as Nina Carlamusto will be coming in. Mastandria, who scored the goal, she's in the mix there. However, that was Giovinco, number 7, who also had much possession time. Let's see who comes off here for Carlamusto. It's actually the goal scorer, Lauren Mastandria. So Mastandria comes off, and we'll have two more substitutions here in this 5-0 game, as we will be seeing the talents of Francesca Lilly and Jade Fixon-Uwu. Fixon-Uwu almost scored in the first half. 5-0 New York, as we approach about 15 minutes remaining to play. Question now, can Chicago score a goal? And frankly, if they can, that might speak well of future prospects for the Chicagoans. This is a select tournament. And this is a fine play right here. A nice advancing of the ball, though it was taken away from her, but quite distance there from Hannah Lapierre. And so Chicago has possession here. And wanting the ball quickly down by 5 goals is Abigail Osterland, and that's understandable. Well, coming off now will be Lindsay Wright as well as Gina Giovinco. So those two players coming off for New York. And Osterland will throw it in. Ball goes out of bounds. And a Chicago player is shaken up a bit. But it appears she is okay. That is Hannah Lapierre. And I think she'll stay in the game. And Osterland will throw it in again. Five, nothing New York. We'll have a corner kick here now for Chicago. And Novikov covers up, rolls the ball to a teammate. Now the ball in Chicago's end. It was Conley, and Conley, number 2, getting it deep, showing some nice footwork to prevent. This is Kerr. Kerr for Chicago. With Conley and Kerr have shown some nice footwork. Great play there by Barnett to knock the ball away from Kerr. And here she is, Barnett. Hannon kicking it deep. An opportunity here for New York. Perhaps a one-on-one shot, and it goes in. Give credit to that goal for Jade Fixon-Uwu. And Jade Fixon-Uwu, the nice assist from Hannon, has given New York a 6-0 advantage. We'll now see a substitution here for Chicago. Coming out is Faith Craddock. Coming in, and see, I have number 20 as Sophia Dorr, but they told me that she was injured before the game. So they've given her jersey, evidently, or given it the wrong jersey number And is that, let's see here, number 20 is Josie Crumley. So Josie Crumley wearing number 20 coming in, and she had some action earlier in the first half. But Crumley now in for Chicago, trying to get a goal to break the whitewash. It's 6-0, as the soccer enthusiasts like to say. They're in the corner. I know many people staying in to watch the game, perhaps no longer in doubt from a competitive standpoint, but everyone wants to see who will score any more goals, if possible. Can Novikov continue her whitewash or shutout? Possession time, and certainly people watching it. It's a select tournament, so quality play here in front of a recruiter, even at this stage of the game, could be very beneficial. Anissa Norse will be coming in. And coming off here will be Kiera Kerr. So Chicago now perhaps resting their best player with less than 10 minutes remaining. We may have some extra time, but here comes a strong effort. Novikov comes out of the net, but the shot misses wide. Great play there by Hannah Lapierre, number 19, going coast to coast, if you will. Some fine skill here, and it's plays like that. People are watching, potential recruiter on late in the game here. But an individual play like that is impressive. This is Lapierre, and that's why the players here will be playing hard until, well, they always play hard. That's such a cliche. I hesitate to use it, but frankly, what you'll have then is players who will still, despite the score, play very spiritedly. Checking in for Chicago will be Caroline Trunkenbrod. Checking out is Lily Conley. So Conley and Kerr, who are two of the better ball handlers for Chicago, they've basically shown what they can do in this game, so they check out and give other players a chance to play, with New York up 6-0. This is Barnett. Less than 8 minutes to play in the regulation time, this 15 under. That is Scudero, who wears number 8. Nicole Scudero was tossing the ball in many times earlier today. Two goals today by Julia Hannon. 2 from Lindsay Wright. One from Jade Fixon Uwu, and another from Lauren Mastandria. New York 6, Chicago nothing. It was 3-0 at halftime. Ball at midfield. That's Lapierre. Scudero for New York, trying to get it to a teammate. And that is Carla Musto, number 4. Harlamusto, nice block there by the fellow number 4, that one of Chicago. That's Trunkenbrod, who just came on. Both players came on in the second half. They did not start the period on the field. Barnett. And the ball go out of bounds here, and so they'll throw it in with less than 6 minutes of regulation time. We may have some extra time after the goals being scored. There was an injury earlier, although the player, Ryan Conway, was not seriously injured and continued to play. He was shaken up a bit, though, and that may give us some extra time. So a chance either to break the shutout or to go up 7-0.
Press inside, Keegan. Press inside, Keegan. Yes, Frankie, go. Come on, Frankie. This is key.
The ball goes out of bounds. And now, again, out of bounds. So Chicago will get the ball. They'll be trying to throw it into the other end somehow. Everyone was covered there, and that sort of shows you the fine play of New York today. It's Hannon kicking it far away. And the ball will go down the hill in the dark. This is the first time where the lights have really been a factor here. Collision. And the ball goes out of bounds. Throwing it in now. That'll be Fixin Uwu, who scored the 6th goal of the game. 6-0 New York. We are less than 4 minutes of regulation time to play. And the ball going deep into the Chicago territory once again. Trying to center it for a 7th goal potentially. Ball goes out of bounds. New York will retain possession. And this kick taken away. So can these players... We have one more tally in the game. That's the question here. Or I suppose potentially two. Hannon, can she get a hat trick? She tries a long hit, and it is a wonderful save by the second goalkeeper for Rocky. Was able to knock it. Shot was high, but it did not go in. Missed by only a little bit. And Hannon will run. She's looking for the ball. I mentioned this before. This is sort of like you're playing baseball in your backyard. Somebody hits a home run, and you have to go into the neighbor's yard to get the ball. Excuse me. It's kind of the way it is. Your field is up, and then it goes downhill right over on the other side, and into the woods. You may see a woods here, and so players are often going down the hill and into the woods. You'd expect such in North Carolina, wouldn't you? Temperature has gone down, and now Chicago, maybe with one last attempt to try and score. About 80 seconds of regulation left in the game. It is currently, they say, 55 degrees is what I am told here in Wilson. It feels a little bit chillier, and I think that, well, the people doing the weather reading may be doing it from someplace other than the Gillette Soccer Complex. The ball going away, and now we have the drama of whether or not Novikov can continue her shutout. There are officially 29 seconds left. We'll see about extra time. There was some joke about, well, 6-0. Should we add how much on? And I guess potentially there could be as much as 4. A ball far away now. Will Chicago have a chance to get one shot off? Not if Barnett has anything to do with it. Possession will go to Chicago. And we have now the 40-minute mark. We're in extra time. I've heard, well, shall we have 4 more minutes? And I don't know whether because of the score of the game or not, that was sort of a sarcastic comment, or if there really are 4 more minutes of extra time. But let's consider that. The ball deep in New York territory, and the drama now with the score 6-0 is if Chicago can score. They're going to have to get possession of this kick that Barnett will make. So we are in extra time. And the kick here goes out of bounds. Chicago with one last chance for a rush, if you will. And the ball goes down the hill again. Trying to set something up. And again, they just cannot get it from that other side.
Well done, Sarah.
Two of the top players, Kerr, and I think that's going to do it. We hear the whistle, and so our final score. It is a 6-0 victory for HBC Impact 00, or 2000 if you prefer, the Region 1 champions from Long Island, New York. They collect a 6-0 victory against FC United Select 1. Here are the goals that were scored. It was 3-0 at the half thanks to 2 goals scored by number 14, Julia Hannon, and she sandwiched those goals around one by Lindsay Wright. Then in the second half, we saw goals scored first by, if I can get this right, first by, and I have this, I want to get this, Lauren Mastandria had a goal, as did Jade Fixon-Uwu, and there was another tally scored by Lauren Mastandria. So that was the goals scored in that half. Going through again just to make sure that I have all of them correct. There were two goals scored, by Lindsay Wright. She had the first goal, then Mastandria had the second, and Fixon-Uwu. So let's get that right. Lindsay Wright with 2 goals today, as well as Hannon and Mastandria had 1, and Fixon-Uwu had 1. Do you follow that? Okay. So Hannon and Mastandria, from a team standpoint, have both scored 3 goals in this tournament. Our final, once again, 6-0. New York defeats Chicago here from Wilson, North Carolina in the Girls U.S. Youth Soccer National League Series. Folks, I'm Marky Bilson. You've been watching the Turbo Sports Network.